Now let's take a look at output caching. Now, of all the caching that's involved in ASP.NET, this is the one that's getting the most attention. This thing can really pick up efficiency on your web server, because with output caching, the entire web page that you choose is going to be placed in cache, and then when the client requests this page, it's just going to be bounced right out of that memory, that cache location, out to that user with very little processing on the server. Now, to use output caching, the beauty of this is how incredibly simple it is. You'll be able to watch this video and do as much output caching as you want to. Very, very simple to learn and use. The output cache is actually enabled by turning on the output cache page directive. And if you remember, back near the start of this course, I've spent a few minutes in one video going through the various page directives that are out there. And I told you there's a lot of things, a lot of cool things in those page directives now in ASP.NET. So this is an excellent example of that. So you need to really go through those things. When we put a page in the output cache, we can tell it what duration or how many seconds to leave it in that cache. Now, we can leave it in there just a few seconds or quite a while based on seconds. And every time somebody requests that page, they're getting the same thing every time, but it's jumping right out of cache. Once the cache duration is passed, the page is dropped from the cache, and the next request, it's compiled and built again, or it's not compiled, but it's run through again as if it's a new request, and then the results of that are cached, and we start over again with our new time. Now, there's also a vary by parameter setting, and this is important because some pages can be requested with different parameters, and those different parameters will affect the data that's on the page, the graphical layout of the page, the colors of the page, and so forth. If you have those situations, you can tell it in this page directive which parameter is being varied, and it will store different copies of the same page in cache where the data is different because of that parameter that was passed in. Now, duration and vary by parameter are required, and you'll see that in the example in just a minute. And with that, let's go out and take a look at an example. I'm going to open Visual Studio and create a new web application. And this one, I will call it Example Cache. And what this thing's going to do, obviously, it's going to go out, contact Internet Information Server, set me up a virtual directories for this little web app that I'm building. And I'm going to go straight to HTML and create the simplest possible caching example. Now, I'm going to create a heading 2 tag, and I'm going to say the current time is, and then I'm going to put some inline ASP code, and I'm going to put the shortcut for response right, and I'm going to call that Visual Basic Now function, and I'm going to call it inline. So when I run this page, what you will see in the browser is the message that the current time is, notice March 30th, 2003, 1:27:12 a.m. Now, if I refresh this page, you'll notice that it's updating every second, or every time I refresh it, the time is updating. So if I keep updating repeatedly, I can see the time go up second at a time. Now, what if I cache this page? Well, if I cache it, then I'll keep getting the same page over and over for a fixed amount of time. So let's do that. Let's play a little game here with caching. I'm going to turn caching on. Notice I'm going to do a %@page directive. I'm going to put output cache. And then I'm going to set the duration attribute equal to, say, 10 seconds so we can see it. And then the vary by parameter is required. I don't have any parameters that are going to vary, so I'll just simply say none. And so now, notice when I close that tag, all of that yellow went away, and I'll go back and do that. And notice this is helping me to see that something's not quite right here. It needs to be closed. So notice what I've done. I've put an @page directive up here right under my other one, my @page language and so forth, and I've told it cache this entire page. Put it in the output cache. Leave it there for 10 seconds. After 10 seconds, you can create a new version and put it in cache. and don't worry about varying by parameters. I don't have any parameters to pass. So I'll execute this, and notice what's going to happen. Now watch this number right here, because I'm refreshing the page, and that number will not change till after 10 seconds has gone by. There it went. Notice I'm refreshing. I'm getting this page every time out of cache until 10 seconds goes by, and then it's serving a new page to me. So you see what's happening here. Notice, just a second, there it goes. 10 seconds went by. It dropped out of cache and gave me the new page. Now, the simplest example I can think of, I like simple examples. If you get your hands on a simple example, you can then take that and use it. So this is output caching. Notice how easy it is. The only thing I had to do was one line right here. Okay? And that did it. Now, this should be applied to static pages that people pull a lot, to pages that get an awful lot of hits,